And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, have you ever wanted to participate in a quilt show? Now, your answer may be yes or no, but as I have found out when trying to get this game playtest at my playgroup, that the answer is a resounding no. However, I persuade people to play the game anyway. This is a game about making quilts and entering them into a show. Let's take a look and see if the game's as good as it sounds. Now the goal of this game is to make quilts, and you're going to be doing that using these quilt pieces. 3 times during the course of the game there's going to be a quilt show. When the quilt show happens, you're going to turn over some of these tiles here randomly and put them in order from greatest to small. So you see there's a 15, 14, 12, 10, and 5 here. Players will make quilts. Quilts have to be one of different sizes. The rulebook shows you, for example, a 1x3, a 2x2, a 2x3, a 3x3, or a 3x4. They all have to be either the same shape or the same color. And then you'll look at the numbers on each of the tiles. You'll notice here that this one here has a 3 on it. And you will add those numbers together, and whoever has the best quilt will get the highest amount of money. And there's a pile of paper money to hand out to each of the players. To get to that point, though, on a player's turn, they'll go around the table taking turns. You can draw these cards in your hand. You can draw 3 cards. You can draw from these face-up cards, in which case they're replaced from the pile. Some of the cards are single colors, some are double colors, and there's also these die cards, which are basically wilds. If you take a wild card, you only get to take 2 cards rather than 3. And they can't both be wild cards. If you draw a wild card from the top of the deck, though, woohoo, lucky you. So that's one thing you do in your turn, is draw 3 cards. Another thing you do is you can buy these tiles out here. When you buy tiles, you simply discard tiles equal to whatever size tile that is. There are sizes, there's a small tile that's worth 2 points, the medium tile worth 3, and a large tile worth 5. The small tile costs 1 card of that type, the medium costs 2, and the large costs 3. And players have a shield that tells you not only that information, but also the different size quilts you can make. So let's say I wanted to build this purple tile here. I could use these 2 wilds and this purple here to do so. If I had this double card, I could also use that as a purple. So I only need 2, that's a medium one, so I pay those 2. And I take that tile and put it behind my shield. I don't turn the next tile in that stack face up. By the way, each of these tile stacks is all the same shape. But if I had any other cards, like it only cost me 1 to buy this one here, so I could buy that one. And I can keep buying, but only using the cards I have. When I'm done, we turn over the top tile in each of the stacks, and I take a time marker for each of those tiles that I've built. Once someone takes, there's a certain number of time markers depending on the players in the game. Once someone takes this last time marker, the round immediately ends and we have a quilt show. You do not have to use all your pieces to make quilts on the first 2 quilt shows, but on the 3rd quilt show, you might as well, because that's the last one. After the last quilt show, whoever has the most points is the winner. Or most money, I mean. Each player also starts with a 1, 2, and 3 token here. When they make a quilt, you can put these on top of a quilt if you want to increase the value of the quilt by 1, 2, or 3, and then you lose that chip for the rest of the game. That's how you play. Now, it may seem like I'm making fun of the theme, and I am, but gently, okay? I don't actually think there's anything wrong with sewing quilts. It's not something I'm interested in, but I think it's a fine theme for a game. It's much better than maybe another game about slaying dragons, for example. So, hey, but I will say, I don't know why, it's a harder theme to get to the table. Like, hey, everyone will play quilt show, and it's not so excited. But that is what it is. I don't think the theme hurts the game. I don't know that it really helps it that much either, but it is fun to be like, look at my quilt I've made, and act like old ladies who make quilts. I know all kinds of people make quilts, but it's ingrained in me that it's often old ladies. The components of the game are okay. I mean, the money is bleh. Paper money, come on now. Come on now. Come on! The cards, I actually like the cards. I like the pattern looks of the cards. I think they're different. They're cool. They have a good look to them. The tiles, less so. Maybe these are actual quilt patterns. I don't know. But if they are, I'm not really impressed with them. They're kind of blocky. And all the quilts that my grandmother made and other people I've seen make are like really cool looking things. My mom makes a quilt and each square has like personal memories on it and things like that. That's interesting. These are okay. But the components are fine except for the paper money. The shields are useful to keep things out. I will say that these time tokens, I wish there was a better mechanism for the game than that, because taking one every time you build a quilt block is just a fiddly part of the game. You're just constantly taking them and, oh, I forgot to take one last turn, and all right, let's take one real quick. It's I don't know. Other than that, the game is okay. And I will give it the Dice Tower seal of approval because it's fine. It works well. It plays well. It's an easy setup. You're basically collecting sets, so you draw cards to get the colors you want, to get the tiles you want, to make the quilts you want to go up against other people. And there's some aspects which I like. I like the different, you don't know what the prizes are going to be, so you have to decide whether to enter now. Do you think you're beating somebody else out? However, it's really light. There's two problems with the game. One is it's really light, okay? And that's not necessarily a problem, but it can be too light. I mean, the dual colors are almost always better than a single color, and yet they're just as easy to draw. But more importantly than that, you're never really quite sure what tiles are going to be available when it's your turn to buy them. You might be collecting yellow tiles, but there's none to buy. And so that's problematic if you're looking for something a little bit meatier, so get some more strategy. This isn't there. Secondly, I don't know anyone who's played this game who has also played Ticket to Ride who said, this is kind of like Ticket to Ride without the board. Yeah, it is. It's really like Ticket to Ride without the board. However, in Ticket to Ride, you are planning strategies and building routes across whatever map you're on at that point in time, and you can plan ahead. Here, there's really no planning ahead. You're just drawing cards. Although the drawing mechanism is very similar, collecting sets and then playing them for points is also very similar. They're different games, but the fact is I really think they fit in the same hole. I mean, unless you want to do quilts over connecting trains, I don't see why most anybody would want to play this one over Ticket to Ride. But if you do, and you don't mind a very light game, then this one's fine. It's very inoffensive. It's easy to play, easy to set up, easy to teach, and plays quickly. I have some minor component and a little fiddliness problems, and it's very, very, very light, floating away, how light it is. But still, all in all, it's a noble effort from the designers, and some people did not like it at all, but I think that was more the theme intruding on it than not. I just think that if you're looking for kind of a gateway style game, this would be a good one. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
Yeah.